What's the quickest car around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? Well, in this video we're going to jump into some of our favourite cars in Assetto Corsa and find out. Hi, I'm Scott Mansell, head coach from Driver61, where we train real world and sim racers.
So here we are on board, first of all, with the most logical car, the 2020 Indy Car. Now these cars weigh about 825 kilos, so quite heavy, significantly heavier than a Formula 1 car, and they only have 550 brake horsepower. But of course these cars have been specifically designed for ovals, and in particular the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So all of the aero is perfect for this type of challenge, and the car doesn't have too much drag. So I managed to drive this car and get it down to a 40.9. I do think there's a little bit more time in the car, but that is an average of around 220 miles an hour. So that's a good benchmark that we've set there, but let's see if some of the more interesting cars can beat the 2020 Indy Car. So next up we have the beautiful 1988 McLaren MP4. Now I thought this car was going to be very good because it has a very small frontal area compared to modern race cars. Safety in Formula 1 back in the late 80s isn't what it is today, and so the cars could be built with a much narrower tub. McLaren is 675 brake horsepower at maximum boost and weighs only 540 kilograms, again due to that smaller tub and the limited safety restrictions that we had in Formula 1. It was actually really good fun to drive. It was very planted on this circuit, as you might expect with a Formula 1 car probably having too much downforce to really make use of the long straights here at Indy. Now don't forget that a Formula 1 car has lots of downforce because most of the corners are slow or medium speed on normal circuits, and that's where the time comes from over a complete lap. So the McLaren did a lap time of a 44.5, which is just over 200 miles an hour, and this was a slower time due to the car having so much downforce and therefore too much drag. Next up we have the VW IDR, the fully electric hill climb car. Now this car felt completely planted to drive on the track, and it should do because of the massive aero that this car has. However, it just simply didn't have the top speed that's required to put in a good lap time here at Indy. And because it's an electric car, there was no way to change the gear ratios to try and increase the top speed. Typically hill climbs are tight and twisty, short runs up the side of a hill or during a sprint, and so this car is perfect for that, with lots of traction, lots of downforce and lots of torque. However, that doesn't make it well suited to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So this car ended up doing a lap time of a 54.871, which is an average speed of only 164 miles an hour. So next up I thought we'd try a road car. Now this isn't your typical road car, it is a Bugatti which pushes out 1,600 brake horsepower and weighs an incredible 1,995 kilograms. Now this car was incredibly difficult to drive on the Indianapolis layout here. Obviously we don't have the downforce levels of the cars that we've previously been driving. It is a road car at the end of the day, and whatever Ferrari, Lamborghini or Bugatti say about adding downforce to their road cars, it is nothing like what you would find in a single seater. So this car was very difficult, very sideways to drive. You can see that it's sliding through all of the corners. The Bugatti isn't even on racing slicks, it's only on semi-slick road tyres. So the fact that it managed to complete a lap in 49.9 seconds with an average speed of about 180 miles an hour is quite incredible. Next up we have one of my favourite cars in Assetto Corsa, the Ferrari F2004, which is only 605 kilograms and pushing 1,000 brake horsepower. To get the most out of the Ferrari, we had to reduce the wing down as much as possible, as well as extending the gear ratios in 4th, 5th and 6th to take the new highest top speed. Now I continued to play with the setup of this car, but I still couldn't take enough downforce and drag out of it. The car still had too much grip and was too easy to drive on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We could be much faster with this car if only we could make it more efficient through the air. In the end I managed a lap time of a 40.7, which is a couple of tenths quicker than the Indy Car and an average speed of 222 miles an hour. So I couldn't do this video without jumping into the Red Bull X2010, the absolutely insane car which could be perfect for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This car has massive downforce, loads of grip, loads of power, and is just so fast. It literally sits at 450 kilometers an hour all the way around this circuit. As with the Ferrari F2004, I took as much wing out of this car as we possibly could, but it still had way too much grip, so I think the car would go significantly quicker if we could possibly reduce the drag. I ended up lapping with a 33.7, which is by far the quickest car that we've had during this test, and an average speed of 269 miles an hour.
If you enjoyed this, check out this other video where I try and drive cars upside down through aerodynamic force alone. Otherwise, check out this other video which I think you'll love. Cheers, and I'll see you next time.